In this episode here, we're going to take a look at the difference between 3D and 2D materials. We're also going to create one, and I'm also going to supply you with a Gizmo to speed up this process. So the backstory here is we have this shelf here and it ships with materials. And in a recent episode, I used one of these materials, a bridge here, essentially the gap between this seam here, using a combination of 2D and 3D materials. I didn't really show how to create a 3D material per se in that video. And in this video, we're going to do this. Okay, so here in the node graph, now take a look here at my 2D material here. And now when I switch over to this 3D material, and you can see here in the 3D material, the seams are gone completely. The problem with some of the 3D materials is the actual projection. It's kind of like having a projector shining towards the object. So on grazing angles, you might start to see like this stretching, and the 2D is actually applying a bit better in some cases. So it depends on the form and how you want to apply it. So looking here at this original 2D material, I have here a single tile parameter that essentially applies this, and you can see it kind of follows the form of the geometry. Looking here at my 3D material, when I exposed additional information here on the 3-planar projection, if I switch over here, we have a world scale and we also have projections here. Let's take a look here now how we can create one of these here. Essentially here you have 3-planar projections, and I'm just gonna take a 3-planar projection like this. Let's see how a 3-planar projection looks like. So this one is a 3-planar projection in Mari. If I drag one of those textures here, let's take this color into the slots. You can see here now we have a front image, we have a side image, and we have a right image. And you can see here there's a checker pattern behind here, and this is because we have transparency. You can modulate this by going in here and say, this essentially setting the grazing angle and the border width here from the different projections. So this is something you can control here, and you can start to get something that looks like covering everything here. The problem with 3D projections and materials is they're quite tedious to set up. You have to link a lot of these things. So essentially a material, you want to link all of the properties like I did here. I linked all of the properties that you can see here with wrenches across all inputs. And that is quite tedious to set up if you're gonna do it by hand. So that's why I made a Gizmo. Before we can create a Gizmo, it's good to know how to do this in practice here. I'm just gonna do this very simple on a few parameters here. Let's take this one. I'm gonna duplicate it out, so Control-Shift-D. I'm just gonna have 2 parameters that we're gonna create a Gizmo from. I'm just gonna group these, and I'm gonna go in here, take away my inputs here, and take my output, and create this one. It's gonna be the color, and we're gonna have another output. So I hit tab and type output, and this one is gonna be spec R, for example. Going here on the outside, we see we have a color output and a specular roughness output. So this is the first ingredient of my Gizmo. Let's take this color that we had and pipe it into all of our front, top, and right input here onto this node. Onto the 3-planar projection here, the other one, we're gonna have the spec R map. So I'm just gonna hit L here and see here which one is the specular roughness for this. It's this one, specular roughness. So the first thing that you wanna map here, if I go here and create a Gizmo out of this, for example, let's say that we wanna control a world scale. So what I did here is to hit the wrench on the world scale for all of them one at a time. Going outside here, going to my group, we see now we have 2 world scales. And you want to link all of this. So material is essentially linked. All of the maps that you have tileables, they need to be controlled in the same fashion. This is where setting up a 3-planar projection can be quite tedious. So that's why you want to create a Gizmo out of this and reuse it. And I also made one so you can just download it for free. So essentially what you do here is to take your 2 scales, hit link and say world scale, for example. And you see here, now we have 1 world scale, but they are controlling both of these at the same time. If I now look here, I'm just gonna sever this one, looking through this node here. I'm just gonna hook base color and my specular roughness. We can see here we have something here, but you can see the problem here at the moment is, if I look here at my color individually, you see transparency. So this is where you either have to do something in your material or you have to go in and control, for example, the gradient. So if I go in here and go to my gradient, so this one, for example, the fall off here. Let's say that we want to control the fall off between all of these. And this is essentially what you can do here. If you go here, your front fall off and hit this one, the wrench, you want to control the front fall off on the specular roughness, hit the wrench. Let's go here and take a look here outside again. Now you have 2 of these. You hit the P button and now you want to link these fall offs here together. So link front fall off like so. And now you can see here, now you have the front fall off. They will control both of them at the same time, looking at this material. And now it's a matter of hooking up the other ones. And as a TV chef, I have already prepared one of those gizmos. And I'm gonna show you how it looks here. So if I hit Tree planar, this is the gizmo I created. So this one here has already hooked up all of these inputs because it's quite tedious. It took me almost an hour to hook up and link all of these together using this method. But once you've done it, you essentially have all of it. So now you essentially can drop in here. Let's say that you want to drop in the materials, colors here. Have the color, specular roughness. This is specular roughness. There we have the bump, and that's the displacement. And there we have the specular contribution. So let's go in here now and hook up these instead. There we have specular roughness, bump here as well. Now looking here at this one, we need to go in and control here the different fall off curves here. So I'm just gonna crank this up here and set something that's quite crunchy, like so. And now it starts to look a bit more like a material. There you go. And now here, when I go in, for example, on the world scale, I get a material that is controlled by world scale. You can go in and do like repeats on the different angles and all of that. So they are all linked inside here. And you see here, I have exposed everything and linked everything. Okay, so let's now take a look how we can export our own gizmos out here. Let's take this one here. I named it here my first gizmo. You essentially go to File, Export, Nodes. You browse to a location. I have a location where I have all my resources. Let's give it a name, my first gizmo, and it's gonna be MNG file and hit save. And that's essentially a gizmo. You can read back here, go to File, Import Nodes, and go to this location, import it back, and there you have it. And I'm gonna make another separate video how you can actually do what I have here. So I have this on the tab menu. I have this, if I hit and then Tree planar, you get this as it was a regular node.